Dr. He-Jin Lee stared at her computer screen in the quiet hours of the morning. The numbers didn't make sense. She had checked them 20 times, but they still showed the same thing. The universe was expanding much faster than anyone had thought possible. The soft hum of computers filled her small office at the Seoul Advanced Research Institute. Coffee cups littered her desk, showing how long she had been working. Outside her window, the city lights were starting to fade as the sun rose. "This can't be right," she said to herself, running her hands through her short black hair. She had been studying universal expansion for 15 years, but she had never seen anything like this. She picked up her phone and called her research partner, Dr. Jae-won Park. Despite the early hour, he answered on the second ring. "He-Jin, what's wrong?" Jae-won's voice was thick with sleep. "The data from last night's measurements. I need you to look at it right away," she said. "Something strange is happening with the expansion rate." 20 minutes later, Jae-won walked into her office. His usual neat appearance was replaced by wrinkled clothes and messy hair. He carried his own cup of coffee as he sat down next to He-Jin. "Show me," he said simply. He-Jin pulled up the charts on her screen. "Look at these measurements from the quantum sensors. The universe isn't just expanding. It's speeding up at a rate that breaks all our previous models." Jae-won leaned forward, his tired eyes suddenly sharp with interest. "Have you checked for equipment errors?" 3 times. I even ran the numbers through different programs. The results are always the same." He-Jin pointed to a particular graph. "See this curve? It shows the expansion rate increasing exponentially. According to our old theories, this shouldn't be possible." As they studied the data together, the morning sun climbed higher in the sky. Other scientists began arriving at the institute, their voices drifting through the halls. But He-Jin and Jae-won barely noticed, too focused on the mystery in front of them. "We need to report this," Jae-won said finally. "This could change everything we know about cosmic expansion." He-Jin nodded slowly. "But who's going to believe us? These numbers suggest the universe is growing so fast, it's almost as if—" She paused, considering her next words carefully. "It's almost as if something is pushing it apart on purpose." Jae-won looked at her with surprise. "That's a bold theory, He-Jin. The scientific community will tear it apart." "I know," she said. "But what other explanation is there? Natural expansion doesn't work like this. We're missing something big." They spent the next few hours preparing their initial report. He-Jin knew they needed to be careful with how they presented their findings. Too many careers had been ruined by rushing to publish unusual discoveries. As she worked, He-Jin couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just an interesting scientific puzzle. The universe was trying to tell them something, and she had a strong feeling that humanity needed to listen. That evening, as she finally prepared to leave her office, He-Jin took one last look at the data. The numbers seemed to stare back at her, like a message she could almost read but not quite understand. "Whatever this is," she whispered to herself, "it's going to change everything." She didn't know then how right she was. In the coming days, this discovery would do more than just change scientific theories. It would change humanity's place in the universe forever. As He-Jin turned off her computer and gathered her things, the first message from deep space was already on its way to Earth, traveling through the expanding cosmos toward the planet where one scientist had finally noticed that something very strange was happening to the universe itself. 2 weeks after He-Jin's discovery, the rejection letters started arriving. One by one, major scientific journals turned down her paper. They all said the same thing. Her findings were impossible. "Another rejection," He-Jin said, placing her tablet on her desk. Jae-won looked up from his own work with concern. "They still don't believe the numbers?" he asked. "No, Professor Yang from Princeton says our measurements must be wrong." He-Jin sighed. "Maybe they are right. Maybe we made a mistake." Just then, her computer chimed with a new email. The sender was Dr. Taeyum Kim from NASA. He-Jin opened it quickly, expecting another rejection. Instead, she read, "Dr. Lee, Your calculations are correct. I can prove it. He Jin called Jaiwan to her screen. Look at this. Someone believes us. They arranged a video call with Taeyong for the next day. When his face appeared on the screen, they saw a young man with bright eyes and an excited smile. Dr. Lee, Dr. Park, thank you for meeting with me. Taeyong said, I've been using NASA's new quantum telescope to study universal expansion. My readings match yours exactly. He shared his screen to show them his data. The graphs looked just like Ho Jin's, showing the same impossible acceleration. But there's more, Taeyong continued. I found something strange in the pattern. The expansion isn't random. It follows a mathematical sequence. He Jin leaned closer to her screen. What kind of sequence? One that couldn't occur naturally, Taeyong said. It's too perfect, too precise. Someone or something is controlling it. Jaiwan shook his head. That's a big claim, Dr. Kim. We need solid proof before we suggest anything like that. I have the proof, Taeyong replied. But I need your help to confirm it. Can you come to NASA? We can use the quantum telescope together. 3 days later, He Jin and Jaiwan arrived at NASA's facility in California. The quantum telescope wasn't what they expected. Instead of a traditional telescope, it was a room full of complex equipment connected to quantum sensors in space. Taeyong showed them how to use it. This telescope can measure the quantum state of space itself, he explained. It sees things other instruments miss. They worked through the night, gathering new data. As the sun rose, they finally had their answer. The universe wasn't just expanding, it was being expanded. Look at these patterns, He Jin said, pointing to their results. They're like ripples in space, moving outward from specific points. Natural expansion would be uniform, but this is engineered, Taeyong finished. Someone is pushing the universe apart like a balloon being inflated. Jaiwan, who had been quiet for a while, suddenly spoke up. We need to publish this right away. With NASA's data backing us up, the other scientists will have to listen. I agree, Taeyong said, but we should be careful how we present it. The idea that someone is artificially expanding the universe, it's going to cause a lot of concern. He Jin nodded. We'll stick to the facts. Show the data, explain the patterns, and let others draw their own conclusions. They spent the next few days writing their paper. This time, when they submitted it, they included the quantum telescope data. The response was immediate. Scientists around the world began confirming their findings with their own instruments. What they didn't know was that they weren't the only ones paying attention to their discovery. Far beyond Earth, other beings had noticed that humans had finally spotted their work, and they were preparing to make contact. As He Jin fell asleep on her flight back to Seoul, she dreamed of expanding space and hidden patterns. Soon, she would learn that the truth was far stranger than anything she could have imagined. The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. At first, the scientists at Earth's Deep Space Listening Station thought it was just random noise. But there was something different about this signal. It repeated in a perfect pattern, too precise to be natural. Dr. Sun Micho sat at her desk, listening to the signal through her headphones. As the world's leading xenolinguist, she had studied possible alien languages for years. Now looking at the pattern on her screen, her heart beat faster. This is it, she whispered. This is what we've been waiting for. The signal had appeared right after He Jin's paper about universal expansion was published. Sun Mi didn't believe this was a coincidence. She called He Jin immediately. Dr. Lee, this is Dr. Cho from the Deep Space Communications Center. We need you here right away. When He Jin arrived, Sun Mi showed her the signal pattern. Look at this structure, Sun Mi said. It matches the expansion patterns you discovered. Someone is responding to your research. They worked together for hours, studying the message. Sun Mi's computers analyzed the patterns while He Jin compared them to her expansion data. Slowly, they began to understand. It's like a mathematical language. Sun Mai explained. They're using universal constants and quantum patterns to communicate. And look, these symbols keep repeating. I think they're trying to warn us. Warn us about what? He-Jin asked. Just then, the computers decoded the first clear message. The words appeared on their screen. The expansion is not natural. Your species must choose. Sun Mai and He-Jin looked at each other. We need to respond, Sun Mai said. But how? They decided to use the same mathematical pattern to send a message back. We understand. Please explain, they transmitted. The response came faster than they expected. This time, the message was longer. Many civilizations compete for universal energy. Some push the universe apart to harvest this energy. Others try to stop them. Earth sits at an important point. Your choice will affect everything. He-Jin thought about her discovery. The artificial expansion. The perfect patterns. It all makes sense now. Advanced aliens are using universal expansion to create energy. More messages arrived throughout the day. They learned about the different alien groups, the accelerators who wanted to expand the universe faster, and the preservers who fought against this expansion. Both groups wanted humanity's help. Sun Mai worked without rest, improving their communication. By evening, they could almost have a conversation with the aliens, but each answer brought more worrying questions. They say we have to pick a side, Sun Mai told He-Jin. But how can we choose when we barely understand what's happening? He-Jin stared at the star maps on the wall. Earth looked so small compared to the vast, expanding universe. We need more help, she said. This isn't just a scientific problem anymore. It's about humanity's future. They decided to contact Colonel Dong-Hyuk Kang from the Space Defense Force. They would need someone with military and diplomatic experience to help handle this situation. As they waited for Colonel Kang to arrive, another message appeared. Time grows short. Other species approach your world. You must prepare to stake humanity's position before the Galactic Council. Sun Mai and He-Jin shared a worried look. They had discovered that Earth wasn't just a small planet anymore. It was about to become the center of a cosmic debate that would affect the entire universe. Outside, the night sky seemed different now. Those distant stars weren't just beautiful lights anymore. They were the homes of civilizations waiting to hear humanity's answer to a question they never expected to face. Colonel Dong-Hyuk Kang arrived at the Deep Space Communications Center early the next morning. His military uniform was precise, and his expression remained calm as he reviewed the alien messages. 20 years of military service had taught him to handle impossible situations. So Earth must choose between helping expand the universe or trying to stop it, he said, studying the star maps on the wall. And we have limited time to decide. He-Jin nodded. The aliens say Earth's position makes us important. Our space sector connects several major regions of the universe. Sun Mai added more information from her latest translations. The Galactic Council wants our answer in 30 Earth days. They're sending representatives to hear our position. Dong-Hyuk stood at the window, looking at the morning sky. We need to understand exactly what each choice means for Earth. Dr. Cho, can you request more details from both groups? Sun Mai sent the messages. The responses arrived quickly, appearing on their main screen. The accelerators promised advanced technology and unlimited energy if Earth joined them. The preservers warned that too much expansion would destroy younger civilizations and offered protection if Earth supported their cause. Neither choice is perfect, He-Jin said. If we help expand the universe, we might hurt developing worlds. If we try to stop it, we lose access to that energy source. Dong-Hyuk turned to face them. Then we need to find another way, something that shows humanity's unique perspective. They worked together for days, studying both sides of the argument. He-Jin analyzed the science behind universal expansion. Sun Mai communicated with different alien groups, learning about their societies. Dong-Hyuk developed diplomatic strategies based on Earth's neutral position. 1 week before the Galactic Council's arrival, They presented their findings to Earth's leaders. The meeting room was filled with presidents, prime ministers, and scientific advisors from every major nation. "We have an opportunity," Dong-hyuk explained to the assembly. "Earth can be more than just another voice in this cosmic argument. We can be the ones who find a middle path." He-jin presented her latest research. "The universe is vast enough for both expansion and preservation. We don't have to choose between destroying developing worlds and giving up on progress. There might be a way to control the expansion rate." The world leaders listened carefully. For the first time in history, all of humanity needed to agree on something. Earth's future in the galaxy depended on it. After 3 days of discussions, they reached a decision. Earth would not simply pick a side. Instead, they would propose a new solution to the Galactic Council. Sunmai sent their response to both alien groups. "Humanity offers a third option. We will present our proposal to the Council." The aliens' reply was immediate and unexpected. No species had ever suggested an alternative to the expansion conflict. Earth would be the first to try. As they prepared for the Council's arrival, He-jin, Sunmai, and Dong-hyuk felt the weight of their responsibility. They weren't just representing Earth anymore. They were speaking for every developing civilization that deserved a chance to grow. "Whatever happens," Dong-hyuk said, watching ships from their new space defense system patrol the skies, "we've shown that humanity can think differently. Sometimes the best path forward isn't choosing between two options, it's finding a new way." The next morning, the first alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit. The Galactic Council had arrived to hear humanity's proposal. The Galactic Council met in a large conference room at the United Nations building in New York. 7 alien representatives sat across from the Earth delegation. Each alien looked different, but they all watched the humans with great interest. He-jin felt nervous as she prepared to speak. The room was silent except for the soft hum of translation devices. Sunmai had worked through the night to make sure these devices could handle all the different languages. "Honorable Council members," He-jin began, "Earth understands the importance of universal expansion. But we also see the value of preservation. We believe there is another way." The alien from the accelerator spoke first. Its voice came through the translators as calm and clear. "Your species is young. You do not understand the energy needs of advanced civilizations. We must expand the universe faster." The preserver representative responded immediately. "And you would destroy countless developing worlds to get this energy. This is why we must stop the expansion." Colonel Dong-hyuk stepped forward. "This is why Earth proposes a meeting with Dr. Yoon-hee Baek, our leading theoretical physicist. She has developed a new theory about universal expansion." The door opened, and Dr. Baek walked in. She carried herself with quiet confidence as she approached the council table. Her research had given her hope that they could solve this ancient problem. "Distinguished council members," Yoon-hee said, "I have studied the expansion patterns. The current method of energy harvesting is inefficient. We are damaging the universe unnecessarily." She showed them her calculations on the large screen. Even the aliens leaned forward with interest as she explained her theory. The mathematics was complex, but her conclusion was simple. They could control the expansion in a way that would satisfy everyone. "The universe does not need to expand everywhere at once," Yoon-hee explained. "We can create expansion zones for energy harvesting, while keeping other areas stable for developing civilizations." The council members looked at each other. The leader spoke, its translator making its surprise clear. "In all our years of debate, no one has suggested this approach. But can you prove it would work?" Yoon-hee smiled. "We have already begun the calculations. With your permission, we would like to demonstrate a small-scale test." The aliens discussed among themselves in their various languages. The humans waited anxiously. Finally, the council leader turned back to them. "You may proceed with your test," it said. "But remember, if you fail, Earth must choose a side. The expansion conflict cannot continue forever." After the meeting, Ho-Jin found Yoon-hee in her laboratory. "Do you really think we can do this?" she asked. Yoon-hee looked up from her equations. "The mathematics works. Now we need to prove it in reality. I will need your help, Ho-Jin. Your understanding of cosmic expansion is crucial for this test." "Then we should begin right away," Ho-Jin said. "How long will it take to build the test device?" "With help from Dr. Min-seok Choi, our quantum engineer, perhaps 2 weeks. But we must be careful. One mistake could affect the entire universe." As they worked late into the night, Ho-Jin thought about how much had changed. Just months ago, she had been studying universal expansion as a scientific curiosity. Now she was helping to solve one of the greatest conflicts in cosmic history. Outside, the alien ships still orbited Earth, waiting for humanity's demonstration. The future of countless civilizations would depend on what happened next. Dr. Min-seok Choi's laboratory became their new home. For 2 weeks, the team worked day and night to build the device that could prove Yoon-hee's theory. The room was filled with complex quantum equipment and dozens of computer screens showing calculations. "The quantum stabilizers need to be more precise," Min-seok said one morning, examining the delicate machinery. His careful hands adjusted tiny parts that could affect the entire universe. Even a small error could ruin the test. Ho-Jin and Yoon-hee sat at their computers, checking and double-checking their calculations. They knew they had only one chance to prove their theory to the Galactic Council. "The aliens have never considered controlled expansion because they think too big," Yoon-hee explained to the team. "They try to control the whole universe at once. But we humans understand working with limited resources. Sometimes smaller is better." Sun Mai arrived with new information from her conversations with the alien representatives. "Both sides are interested in our progress," she reported. "They have never seen quantum technology used this way before." Colonel Dong-hyuk provided security and made sure they had everything they needed. "The whole world is watching," he reminded them. "But no pressure." As they worked, Ho-Jin noticed something interesting about their approach. The aliens had advanced technology, but they lacked human creativity. Their societies were millions of years old, set in their ways of thinking. "Look at how we solve problems on Earth," she said to the team during a break. "When we face limits, we find new ways around them. We adapt. That's what we're doing now, but on a universal scale." Min-seok's device grew more complex each day. It looked like a small sphere surrounded by rings of quantum sensors. Inside, microscopic adjustments could affect space itself. "The device creates a tiny pocket of controlled space," Min-seok explained to visiting scientists. "We can expand or stabilize this space without affecting the areas around it. If it works here, it can work anywhere in the universe." Yoon-hee spent hours fine-tuning the mathematical models. "The universe is like a fabric," she told Ho-Jin. "The aliens pull it apart everywhere at once, but we can create special areas for expansion, like adding extra material to a piece of clothing only where it's needed." On the final day before the test, the team gathered around their creation. The device hummed softly, its quantum parts working in perfect harmony. Years of human scientific progress had led to this moment. "Tomorrow we show the council," Ho-Jin said, looking at her tired but proud colleagues. "Whatever happens, we've already proved something important. Humanity may be young, but we can think of solutions that even the oldest civilizations missed." That night, as the team prepared for sleep, alerts came from orbit. More alien ships had arrived to witness the test. The entire galaxy was waiting to see if humanity's innovation could solve an ancient problem. "Ready for tomorrow?" Yoon-hee asked Ho-Jin as they left the laboratory. Ho-Jin looked at the night sky, now filled with the lights of alien ships. "Ready," she replied. "It's time to show the universe what humans can do." The day of the demonstration arrived with clear skies. The test would take place in a special facility built just for this purpose. Members of the Galactic Council sat in the observation room, their different forms casting unusual shadows on the walls. Min Seok arrived early to check the device one final time. His hands moved carefully over each part, making sure everything was perfect. "The quantum harmonics are stable," he reported to the team. "We're ready to begin." Hejin and Yoon. He stood at their control stations. Screens around them showed complex data about space-time conditions. Colonel Dong-Huk managed security, while Sun-Mai prepared to translate any immediate reactions from the council. "Distinguished council members," Yoon-hee began, her voice steady. "Today we will demonstrate controlled universal expansion. Our device creates a small pocket of space where we can manage the expansion rate without affecting surrounding areas." The alien representatives watched silently. Some had waited millions of years for a solution to this problem. Now they would see if the youngest civilization in the room could succeed where they had failed. Min Seok activated the device. The sphere began to glow with a soft blue light, and the quantum rings around it started to spin. On the main screen, everyone could see the test area, a tiny section of space no bigger than a room. "Beginning controlled expansion," Hejin announced. She entered the commands they had practiced so many times. The numbers on her screen showed the space inside the test area starting to grow. The council members leaned forward. Their instruments confirmed what they were seeing. The humans had created a perfectly controlled expansion zone. The space inside grew larger, but everything around it remained completely stable. "Now for the critical test," Yoon-hee said. She nodded to Min Seok, who adjusted the controls. "We will demonstrate that we can stop and start the expansion at will." The room grew tense. This was the part that both the accelerators and preservers had said was impossible. Nobody had ever managed to control universal expansion with such precision. Min Seok's fingers moved across his control panel. The blue glow pulsed, and the expansion stopped exactly as planned. Then, with another command, it started again. Perfect control. The leader of the council stood up. "In all our history," the translator conveyed its words, "we have never seen such precise manipulation of space-time. How did you achieve this?" "By thinking differently," Hejin explained. "Instead of trying to control the entire universe, we focused on small, manageable areas. We can create expansion zones for energy harvesting while protecting developing worlds in stable zones." The council members spoke among themselves in their various languages. Sun-Mai listened carefully to the translations, her expression growing more hopeful. "The council is impressed," she whispered to the team. "They're talking about implementing this system throughout the galaxy." Finally, the council leader spoke again. "Earth has done what we thought impossible. You have found a way to balance progress with preservation. We will need your help to implement this solution across the universe." The human team looked at each other with pride. Their combination of scientific skill and creative thinking had solved an ancient problem. But they knew this was just the beginning. "We are ready to help," Yoon-hee said. "Together, we can create a better future for all civilizations." 1 year after the successful test, Earth had changed in remarkable ways. The Seoul Advanced Research Institute had grown into the Galactic Center for Controlled Expansion Studies. Scientists from hundreds of worlds came to learn the new techniques that humans had developed. Hejin walked through the Institute's new quantum laboratory, now 10 times larger than the original. Young researchers from Earth worked alongside alien scientists, sharing ideas and solving problems together. The Lee-Baek theory has been implemented in 12 major sectors of the galaxy, Min Seok reported during their morning meeting. His quantum engineering team now included experts from 20 different species. Energy production is up 40%, and no developing worlds have been harmed. Yoon-hee nodded with satisfaction. The controlled expansion zones are working exactly as planned. The accelerators get their energy, and the preservers can protect growing civilizations. Everyone wins. Sun-Mai had established a new department for interspecies communication. "More worlds want to join the program," she told the team. "They see that Earth's solution works better than the old methods." Colonel Dong-Huk, Now General Kang managed Earth's new role in galactic security. Our defense forces work with both accelerators and preservers to maintain the expansion zones. They trust us because we found a way to help everyone. Jin remembered how it all started with some strange numbers on her computer screen. Now she watched ships from distant worlds moving through Earth's sky, bringing new scientists to learn and work with humans. "We've learned so much from our alien colleagues," she said to Jaiwan, who had just returned from teaching Earth's methods to a group of alien researchers. "But they've learned from us too. Sometimes, the youngest can teach the oldest new ways of thinking." The Galactic Council had made Earth the center for all expansion control research. They recognized that human creativity and practical problem-solving could help with other ancient problems too. "Next month we start testing the new micro-expansion technology," Yoon-hee announced. "It will let us create even smaller, more efficient energy zones. The aliens never thought it was possible, but human engineering proved it could work." That evening, Ho-jin stood on the Institute's roof, watching the sunset. The sky glowed with the lights of ships and stations built by a dozen different species. Earth was no longer just one small planet. It was an important part of a huge galactic community. Min Seok joined her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Remember when we thought the expanding universe was a problem?" he asked, handing her a cup. "Now it's bringing everyone together. That's what humans do best," Jin replied. "We don't just solve problems. We find ways to make things better for everyone." The stars began to appear in the darkening sky. Each one might hold worlds that would now have a chance to grow and develop, thanks to Earth's innovation. The universe would keep expanding, but now it would happen in a way that helped all civilizations. "What's next for us?" Min Seok asked, looking at the stars. Jin smiled. "The universe is growing, and now we're growing with it. There will always be new challenges, new problems to solve, but now we face them together, as part of something much bigger than ourselves." As night fell over Earth, ships from distant worlds continued to arrive, their lights joining the stars in the sky. They came to learn from the young species that had shown the galaxy a new way forward, proof that sometimes the best solutions come from seeing old problems through new eyes.